The ancient Silk Road. What is that going to mean for your standard of living? You're going to want to know. We'll be right back. Hello. Now, we've had over, the last month and a half, we've gotten into a tremendous outline of the dollar, debts and deficits, how the dollar and the American dream really evolved, the petrodollar, what does it mean, what's really going on in the Middle East, what's really taking place in the political world that caused these decisions to be done. I encourage you, go back, look at the programs, go to wealthtransferministries.org. Look at these shows starting from September 11th and starting with the Bitcoin. It is really informative, and I think it'll bless you tremendously. Be a part of our mission here at Wealth Transfer Ministries. Help us expand our TV coverage and radio coverage. Go to us on Facebook. Go to social media. I'm on Twitter. Go and be a part of the community. Help us develop the knowledge of the wealth that is in this world, in the wicked's hands. Help us get that to the people so we can transfer it into our hands. So I just encourage you to be a part of giving us that opportunity. Watch the programs, share it with your friends on Facebook. Be a part of helping people understand. I know it's deep sometimes. I know even sometimes it can be complicated. But if you saw my team right here, they have a better way of making it at least better understood. These are just wonderful people out of the Total Living Network here in Chicago. I just can't say enough about them, so I thank them. But please be a part of this, because the wealth transfer really deals with that of the wicked coming to we the people and the reckoning that's getting ready to take place. And we've outlined over the last 7 weeks or so what that reckoning is, how the war on cash, the debts and deficits we have, how the petrodollar plays in, and how China, Russia, and now Iran as a trilateral have kind of been pushed into being that way. That's what fascinates me, I think, more than anything. We did this ourselves. It didn't happen without our permission. We took actions and steps along the way over the last 8 years that forced them to have this relationship. Why? You ask yourself. Go watch the series and you'll see. But today we're going to get into the Silk Road. Now, the Silk Road is interesting. And I'm not talking about clothing line. Now, although silk is pretty much kind of part of that, but China's a pretty dynamic nation, I tell you. I personally won't, because they're commies, but I won't go for that reason. I don't trust them. I would love to go and explore the backcountry of China, though. Some of those mountain regions are so unbelievably beautiful, filled with natural resources. Do you know most of the rare earth minerals in the world? Over 90% of them are out of China. China controls the whole entire market. And without rare earth minerals, a lot of our computer switching systems and high performance computer systems wouldn't function. So Chinese are very powerful, and more powerful than you think, folks. And I know a lot of financial advisors, it's 20 years down the road. I'm contending not. I'm contending closer than you think. I wouldn't be surprised if it's already happening right this minute. Well, I know it's already happening, but I'm talking the big one. There is a realignment of currencies globally. There is some kind of reckoning that has taken place. And we, the people, are going to take it on the chin if we're not properly positioned. So please pay attention. God bless your financial advisor, even if he's a Christian. He's trained by the systems of the world, folks. And the Bible makes it very clear who's the God of the world. That's right, Lucifer. So most of the education system is designed to teach you to be part of the world. But remember, the Bible says we're in the world, but we're not of it. So we have to be very cautious of our education. God gave us dominion over things of the earth. And things of the earth, your food, your gas, your oil, your gold, your silver, your cotton. Think now, granted, a lot of our farmers are tremendous Christians. We call it flyover America, right? You get the lefties in the coasts to try to dictate to us and fly over America. I'd like to see them come to flyover territory. We got something waiting for them. But in the meantime of that, the reckoning is about as real as it gets. And so understanding why, I don't know if we pushed them into this on purpose or if we just were really bad at management over the last 8 years. I just don't know. I like to hope that it was just bad management. I mean, he was only a community activist, not like he knew anything. But the people around him is what I go by, and I think that's kind of important to understand. But the Silk Road's an ancient route. So when I talk about Chinese trade dominance and the Silk Road, you have to understand, folks, just a couple years ago, the Chinese overtook the United States as the world's largest trading nation. And just in October, they were put into the IMF, International Monetary Fund, basket of currencies reserve status. I believe we did that because we need their permission to move the narrative that's getting ready to take place. We've already done the bailouts from the bank level. We've done the bailouts from the central bank level. And I love it when the central bank says, oh, they're getting ready to unwind their $4 trillion position. I'm like, who's going to buy that? Nobody. Unless you want to create another country's currency from scratch and then get them to buy the bonds. Well, maybe the Iraqi dinar will play out like that, right? Who knows? But all I know is who's going to buy that $4 trillion? Maybe the Europeans will print more money and then buy our bonds with their fake money, and we'll print some more money and buy their bonds with fake money, and we'll keep the fake thing going. The only problem is Russia and China and Iran are right in the middle of this, and I don't buy it. So the Silk Road is huge because it really is an ancient trade route back in the day. Here's actually a map of it. Now you can actually see it goes into the Roman Empire up there on the left. You got Africa, and then you have Arabia, they used to call it back in the day, India, China. And if you notice the route, it kind of went all the way across the mountain regions over towards Europe. That was the original trade route. And I like that because there was good reasons. I mean, Chinese had tremendous silk product and different things that they were exporting to the Europeans. That was a long time ago. Here's today. China's Silk Road connections. They've actually reinvigorated the Silk Road. And it's been going on for a while now, not even just the last 8 to 10 years, but 8 to 10 years they've cemented it. That's why I'm kind of perplexed in all this politically in America. We were so distracted in the Marxist transfer of wealth, especially Obamacare. Oh, by the way, on that, a little caveat to that one. I actually do the Christian cooperative, so I'm not in the Obamacare world. I just flat out refused. I'd pay the tax before I did that. But I did decide to go and get a quote because where I live now, and it's pretty remote, I figured I would probably get a decent policy. So I called the Blue Cross and went through the motion. No Obamacare stuff, no government stuff, just direct to the insurance company, say, hey, I want a policy. I was going to have to pay $25,000 for a family of 4, healthy family of 4, before I saw a dollar of benefit. I was paying over $15,000 in premiums with a deductible of $10,000. What? I have heard more families, middle-class families, people who work, had premiums of $400 that skyrocketed to $1,000, $1,200, who had deductibles of $2,500, who now pay $10,000 and $15,000 deductibles. What a rotten, horrendous Marxist act of stealing from people who produced to give to those who did not. Hey, expand Medicaid, but leave us alone. And what blows me away is it was an obvious fraudulent Marxist plan of redistribution of wealth. Okay, and we talked it up on the other side, like this is horrendous, we got to repeal it. We get in there and do they? No. Traitorous Republicans, I'm telling you folks. That Obamacare isn't about Obamacare repeal because it was Obama. I can't believe we the people, middle-class, hardworking families, that have to deal with that. I've heard the stories. It is so heartbreaking. Why? So we can give free this and free contraception and oh my gosh. But anyway, that was a big distraction, I'm thinking. That Marxist wealth distribution was a major social distraction while the Chinese and the Russians were cementing the Silk Road. We're finalizing the Eastern's rise and dominance of the global trade and finance. And it's happened like within 10 years now. This chart you're looking at is the Silk Road of China now. And if you noticed on the southern side or the lower side, it's all the maritime routes. They have secured, they bought the ports. And they've secured, they own the ports, they have the shipping, they make all the goods and services, and then they ship it all around to Europe and the United States and everywhere else. Then they have the rails and they have the trucking. They have a modern day, literal modern day Silk Road. And it's all been done when we weren't paying attention because we were distracted. And we're now further distracted with all this other, stuff in the mainstream media, and we wonder why. You think that stock market's real at 22,000? You better get up a little more in altitude and take some more air because it's getting ready to get reckoned. And I don't want to see that happen to you or we the people. So I just encourage you, if anything, be careful of your source of information. Be careful what news you pay attention to. I highly advise you turn off local news or the local, especially the Communist News Network. Be cautious, please, because they want to foment hate and division. But all I've ever seen when I travel is love for the most part of one another. There is never color in an equation that I see. People are there for one another. We in the kingdom should be too. And I'm a watchman on the wall trying to give you the information to protect you, your family, your ministry, and your church. So please, pay attention, get protected. Physical, tangible assets like silver are vital for us in the kingdom. Gotta take a break. We'll be right back.
Terrorism, a volatile stock market, rising food costs, natural disasters. Every day our economy is at risk, but your assets should not be. Cornerstone Asset Metals is here to help you protect and preserve what you have worked so hard to gain. Whether you have IRAs to protect, 401ks to preserve, or cash in the bank, our accredited asset management specialists are here to support you. Call now and we'll send you urgent information regarding changes to the dollar and challenges to our economy that you need to be prepared for. Learn how easy it is to roll over your current IRA or 401k into a physical precious metals IRA. We can even arrange to have your precious metals stored in a private vault or send it directly to your home. Do not delay. Call 888-747-3309 or register online at cornerstoneassetmetals.com today. Invest in precious metals and create security in your future today. Call now.
So as we get into the Silk Road and you start to understand, now I say it in the tone that I do because I really am passionate that that happened. Not only do we, the people that produce, get hijacked and hacked by being stranglehold into this Obamacare system. That's a lot of money, folks. I mean, I know people, they're not rich, and they were paying $900, $1,000 for premiums and $15,000 deductible. Thank God. In the Obamacare, probably, I don't know, Republicans didn't get to vote on it, so it didn't matter. Thank God, though, that the Christian co-ops like MediShare and Samaritan and others were exempt from Obamacare, like the people in the mountains of Pennsylvania. We got the exemption. Now, it's not insurance, but it was a way that we could share each other's bills. Thank God for that, because I just flat out wouldn't have done it. So the thing is, that was a distraction. And not just that. Then we unleashed the sexual orientation perversion into our culture, which now the Pandora's box is open. Hey, God bless each and every one of them, no matter what you want to be. You want to dress up like a dog, dress up like a dog. It doesn't matter. God loves everybody where they're at and where they walk. But it was all distraction. It was all division. It was all hate. And then they kept the narrative going, and it became white privilege and white hate. And it keeps going on and on. It's all Lucifer to divide we the people. There was never that much hate before. Never used to see that kind of division. These youth are brainwashed right now, and they're being funded by the socialist and the global order. Now, all of this was being done, I believe, as a form of distraction. No different than Vietnam was a distraction for coming off the gold standard, folks. That was huge. If we never came off the gold standard, we never went into Vietnam, I believe this nation would be superiorly wealthy this very day. I believe the poor would be richer. And I believe that all of these people that are suffering wouldn't even be near the level of suffering that we have today. The only reason we have suffering to the level we do is because the dollar doesn't buy you anything. And we all are watching that. I remember 90-cent gas in '08. Now it's $3. And a lot of it is stealth inflation, meaning they're creating the same product but with cheap product, like a blender, for instance. Blenders, the old Westinghouse blenders made with real strong product and steel and good parts, they would last 10, 12 years. Go buy a blender today for near the same price, the thing falls apart in 6 months. Went through a handful of blenders before I caught on that is junk. Most of this junk they produce is stealth inflation. Why? They took out good quality parts and springs and put in cheap parts. Now, if you want a good blender, you have to buy Vitamix. Cost you almost $400, right? That's real inflation, you see. Potato chip bags and ice cream on a smaller level. Kind of the same packaging, but the same product, right? But they made the packages a little smaller. I remember my father-in-law, before he passed away, bless his heart, he used to buy his chips, and he used to say, these chips, they're not the same amount of chips I used to put in the bag, and he caught on. Inflation, folks. So I believe the distraction that was taking place during this last 8 years was literally for a transformation, a socialist revolution transformation, and we're seeing that today play out. I mean, it's funny how they claim the right side to be so hateful when they themselves are the haters, but that's the tactic. I have the manuals of Storm and some of the others on the radical alt-left anarchists. That's their tactic. They will call you the very thing they do, and then they deflect and then insult you. It's just brilliant, but I think people are catching on. I think they're going to find out next year in elections just how much. So, God bless Roy Moore over in Alabama that he takes the Senate race. He's a tremendous man of God there. But I do believe the reason I've gotten into this a little bit is because I think the distraction is what allowed the Chinese to build and complete the Silk Road. We could have done things to keep that from happening, but we were so focused on this that we didn't see it happen. And what's it going to cause? That's right, a depegging. What does it mean to you and me? If this Chinese yuan depegs from the dollar, that's the day they declare their dominance. That's the day you wake up to a lot more expensive food and a big wipeout of everything you know in savings and investment. It's vital, folks, vital that we understand, if anything, what is proper protection and preservation. Wealth transfer is about that transfer of wicked. I do know this. Tangible assets are vital for our savings and our retirement. Tangible assets like land, gold, silver, oil, diamonds, something that you can hold in your hand is tangible. This is something we have to pay attention to, because as the reckoning takes place on the dollar, the tangible assets will not only retain value, but substantially grow. Don't let the silver price bother you. I hear it all the time. They just don't understand. There's a fat elephant sitting on a spring. The price of silver is being controlled and manipulated by derivatives in the market to the tune of 600 ounces sold on paper for every 1 real ounce in the vault for delivery. You do the image. 600 people on one side of the street, 1 on the other, 1 ounce on the other. Go. Who's going to get it? I don't want to see us get smoked with titleless, baseless assets like stocks and bonds. Be diversified, folks, okay? So I have to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Terrorism, a volatile stock market, rising food costs, natural disasters. Every day our economy is at risk, but your assets should not be. Cornerstone Asset Metals is here to help you protect and preserve what you have worked so hard to gain. Whether you have IRAs to protect, 401ks to preserve, or cash in the bank, our accredited asset management specialists are here to support you. Call now and we'll send you urgent information regarding changes to the dollar and challenges to our economy that you need to be prepared for. Learn how easy it is to roll over your current IRA or 401k into a physical precious metals IRA. We can even arrange to have your precious metals stored in a private vault or send it directly to your home. Do not delay. Call 888-747-3309 or register online at cornerstoneassetmetals.com today. Invest in precious metals and create security in your future today. Call now.
Welcome back. So when I say depegged, I mean depegged. Folks, it's coming. I don't know when exactly, but if you go by the globalist elite or a little bit of what you would call the conspiracy side of things, that article in The Economist in 1988 where it said 2008 new world currency, I'd be real curious to see how close that is, right? It's either now or sometime soon, but all I know is there are so many dominoes within European banking system. The Italian systems is on failure. The Spanish system's on failure. And if the Italian goes down, then the Spanish are going down. If the Spanish go down, the French go down. The French go down, the English go down. The English go down, the American banks go down because we're all interconnected. Folks, the banking system, Americans alone, the top 5 American banks in the United States control upwards to $250 trillion in derivatives, tied to interest rates, tied to bonds, tied in the equities, tied to silver. This is fake price they have right now. Wait until the demand is there and the supply is not. Only those who have it in their hand can dictate the price, right? Derivatives, though, control the world. Now, most of the financial, talking heads say, derivatives are not that big of a deal. They're all washed. They easily are just going to cancel out. Really? You know what happened in 2008? Really? Beyond the, collateralized debt obligation notes and the housing market collapse and all that fake stuff. Just go watch The Big Short. Phenomenal movie about the truth of what happened in 2008. And the government never wanted to know the truth because the guy who made hundreds of billions on that deal, something like that, tried to tell him what he saw and why he knew, and they never had a meeting with him yet to this day because they knew, right? So in 2008, what really kind of cascaded beyond the fact the whole thing was fake and the rating agencies were fake and everyone was fluffing up the numbers because everybody was making money. What was interesting, though, is what really started the process. If you remember, AIG was getting ready to claim it was either 2 or 3 trillion, I think it was only 2, maybe 3 trillion of derivatives to zero because the derivatives blew up in this whole mess. That's why AIG got the big bailout. Well, besides the fact that AIG actually insured the congressional retirement accounts, maybe that has something to do with it too, right? But AIG had 2 or 3 trillion, I believe it was, that were going to be derivatives to zero. That was only a couple trillion, folks. Can you imagine our banks at the tune of 250 trillion right now? Globally, there's probably about 600 or 700 trillion, and some say a quadrillion in derivatives. The system is like sitting an elephant on an ice rink of thin ice. It's not right. So something has to reckon, because typically there's always kind of a little spanky in the playground, right? And that's what I think is getting ready to pop. I think people are really tired of American pushing them around. Not so sure it's going to be allowed, but we'll wait and see. I don't know. You could always hope for the best. But all I know is this Silk Road was allowed. And once the Chinese are prepared, I know this in the refining industry, because I'm involved deeply in mining and refining side of things. And I do know this. They will tell you that, as a matter of fact, for silver, for instance, I even asked them, I said, what if a big ministry decided they want to do just, get as much silver as possible? How many ounces could they really get? Do you know, he said, only maybe 400 million ounces in the world? That's not good, you see? Because the day that this happens, and the reason I know is China was taking every week 75, 100 tons of gold from this particular refinery, going to Hong Kong. And we know for a fact in the industry that Hong Kong means AK China. China keeps every ounce they manufacture and produce out of their ground. We in the West have been sending our gold and silver via London to Switzerland and via Switzerland to Hong Kong. I don't know. I have a feeling this, and I'm not going to probably get too deep on this today. I can't go because I got a little off, but I want to tell you, we are making a line in the sand, let's say, and I believe the American, English, European angle is going to go all in, even if it means nuclear, to defend the fiat currency system, baseless, no asset-backed currency system, into infinity. We're making the argument that we're going to go into digital platforms around the world and we can print money into the oblivion of hundreds of trillions, and it doesn't matter as long as we have a military and we all agree. I'm not so sure. Because why is Russia, China, others in the Middle East, and India taking every ounce of gold out of the Western vaults? Why, if it doesn't mean anything? You talk to an American financial and they'll tell you gold's worthless. It's archaic. It's not money anymore. Well, really, why did we make it a tier 1 asset 2 years ago? I believe we're paying off the East. China has a lot more gold than you think, folks. And if I have my guess, they're going to pop up one day and say, oh yeah, by the way, we have 20,000 tons more than the IMF, Europe, and the United States combined. Come on, world, trust our currency. That's what I think is going to happen. I know this, the COMEX, which is our United States exchange, has lost 75 to 80% of all its gold and silver inventory. It's empty, folks. Empty. And it's going to the east. So are they just kind of stupid? Or do they know something we don't? I have to guess, like I said, the line has been drawn. We in the West are going all out for the fake fiat, cashless society, and the East is going to rise up and say, we have something better to offer, and ours is backed by the only money that has ever been recognized in the world, which is gold and silver. And by the way, constitutionally, Article 1, Section 8, that was ours too. We, the people's money, silver. So keep that in perspective, because as this depegging takes place, when it takes place, that is the day that the hammer will fall on our buying power and our way of life. And it's our job in the kingdom to get our people protected, to get our churches and ministries protected, so we can be there for those who don't have the resources. So the wealth that we get can be there to support our neighbors, help our friends, just as these Christian co-ops do in sharing health. And some will say, and I heard the argument, oh, they say they're socialist Christians. It's like, no, it's called love. They don't do it with a gun, they do it with love. I encourage you, seek the truth, because the Bible says it'll set you free. God bless you, your family, and each and every one you talk to. Till next time.